listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shemaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shemaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again, and today we have an amazing show lineup for y'all. We're going to talk to our special guest, Shelena Trimble. She is an amazing person doing amazing things. We're going to learn all about SaveALifeClub.com, where she works as a patient services coordinator, and she's going to tell us all the amazing things that she's doing in Las Vegas. I want to welcome Shelena to the show and say, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Shemaya. How are you?
Man, I'm doing awesome, man. And it's our honor to have you on as a guest today to share more information for our listeners. Tell us a little bit about your organization and how you got involved.
Okay, absolutely. So our organization has been serving the Las Vegas community for 38 years this year in 2023. I always love to rejoice about that because it's really an amazing thing to be a part of a full-time ministry and just have the opportunity to share the love of God and the hope of Christ with others. The way that I came to this organization was 2018, had some great friends of ours. We're part of a marriage group, and they invited us to their annual gala. So I thought, oh, that's awesome. Love the invitation. Let's check it out. So we go, and as they're sharing patient testimonials about how they're using the powerful message of Christ and helping women who are facing unexpected pregnancies, not really sure what direction to go, but wrapped in love of Christ, I was blown away. I'm thinking, how have I lived in Las Vegas over 20 years and I never knew this organization existed? So grateful to find out about them. And after I learned about it, I thought, okay, I need to join up and try to volunteer with this organization, see what I can do, lend a helping hand. And at the time, the organization was extremely busy with events, and they were transitioning to our new location that's over 10,000 square feet right now. And I was busy with life. And so I just followed them on social media, continued praying for the mission of them. And their mission is to save the lives of unborn babies. We're also trying to work towards ending the demand for abortion in Southern Nevada. So not just Las Vegas, but our surrounding areas. And we do that from an approach of a holistic space, addressing a young woman or a young man's physical well-being, their emotional well-being, their spiritual well-being, their financial well-being, and walking alongside of them to be a supportive force. So I thought, slam dunk, right? Yeah. And then once I jumped in on their social media, I saw we're hiring. So I started praying even more fervently about that. And if the Lord had a direction for me to lean in that way, and he gave the go ahead. So here I am 4 years later.
And like you said before, it's a faith-based organization, and it was established a while back in the 80s, 1984, yeah. Exactly. So knowing that it was a faith-based organization, how did that kind of impact you as you being a person of faith, being able to work in this organization as a patient coordinator?
You know, I think that as I've been working in my career fields, it's always been in the industry of health with a medical background. So prior to joining up with the Women's Resource Medical Centers, I was working as a pharmacy technician, and I found that a lot of the work I was doing, far be it was pharmaceuticals, the science behind it, it was also ministry, because I was sharing with people who had recently been diagnosed with something that was detrimental to their health. Or I also found myself, meeting people and interacting with my patients who had recently lost a significant other or recently lost their child. And I found myself ministering to these people. It wasn't necessarily a full-on free space to do that, but I used whatever spaces I had. And once I realized that I could pursue something full-time and freely have liberty to share the love of Christ openly, pray with people, and take people into the scriptures and show them who God truly is and how he wants to have a relationship with them, I thought, this is for me. I love sharing the love of God with others, and it's done in so many ways. Indirectly, directly, but having the opportunity to have the freedom to do it as God ordains moment for moment, I thought this is an absolutely amazing experience and an opportunity I must pursue.
And as a patient services coordinator, what example can you share with the audience where feedback you received, positive feedback from someone who has used the services?
Absolutely. So I will just share actually a recent patient story as recent as last week. So not only do I take inbound phone calls for young women who are seeking abortion services or they're feeling a little hopeless about their circumstance due to having a pregnancy that they weren't planning for. Had a young lady that reached out last week, and we use multiple platforms for communication. We use inbound, outbound text messaging, inbound, outbound phone calls, of course, as well as our website, which leads to an inbox for us to respond to our patients in real time. And so a young lady shared that she was seeking an ultrasound service. And a lot of times that's a variable. Sometimes they just want to see the health and viability of the pregnancy. Other times they're trying to determine how far along am I so I can know what type of abortion I might need. So in this case, this young lady had recently had a hospitalization or two and had dealt with some medical condition issues. And then she had decided, well, I know they offer free medical confirmation ultrasounds at Women's Resource Medical Centers, so let me make an appointment. So by the time I'm speaking with her, she kind of shared her backdrop of what was going on. And I asked her, I says, well, you shared you recently had a procedure the Friday prior to, and that you followed up with that surgeon just today. So after speaking with that surgeon, were you able to initiate prenatal care with that provider and go from there? And she says, well, I actually wasn't planning on keeping this fetus. I was planning on abortion. So I says, oh, and she says, well, you guys offer those services, right? And sometimes when they do Google lead page searches for us, they can type in abortion, or they can type in low cost abortion, they can type in pregnancy services, pregnancy testing, and it leads them straight to our webpage. So I shared with her, we as a pregnancy resource center actually do not offer abortion services, nor do we refer for those services. However, what we can do for you is offer free medical grade pregnancy testing. I can certainly assist you with a confirmation ultrasound to check viability. We also offer free prenatal care services, free online parenting classes, and any of our online parenting classes you take, you'd be able to use those points earned to go shopping for your baby for material needs and services until they're 3. And she paused for a moment, and then she said, that's interesting. I might reconsider if I have support like that. And I just thought to myself, wow, here we are literally text messaging one another. And the Lord is like shifting her mindset over a text message, you know? And so she came in and on Friday, and I had the pleasure of meeting with her and serving her. And we just talked, and she shared about how she had made multiple attempts for a subsequent pregnancy with her partner, and they unfortunately ended in miscarriages. And so she'd kind of given up hope. And she already has a 12-year-old daughter. So she felt like, I'm already in this season of just raising my daughter, and maybe it's not meant for me to have another baby. And then when she found out, she thought, my circumstances are a little unstable. We're entrepreneurs, but our income sometimes fluctuates. And I don't really feel confident that I can do this right now. But then hearing what I was able to share with her about what our ministry offers and how we can walk alongside of her and just alleviate some of those concerns she may have, especially from a financial standpoint, right? It shifted everything for her. And she says, I think I want to keep my baby. And yeah, I would love that ultrasound. And I think I'd be interested in your prenatal care. Blew my mind.
Wow. Man. Yeah, that's a heck of a story. It sounded like a movie as you were talking. But listen, on Refocused Radio, talking to our guest, Shelena Trimble, and she's a patient services coordinator. Go visit the website, savealifeclub.com. Once again, that's savealifeclub.com. With that example that you shared, based on your experience, what do you think can be done better to help support and empower young women who face unexpected pregnancies?
Great question. I mean, I do believe that it's also helpful in our public spaces that we offer support to women and not make them feel as though they are outcasts, I have often found that when I talk to women who are of a faith, sometimes they feel like, they may not have support if they share that they're expecting a baby, for example, out of wedlock, and they're a member of a church. They don't feel maybe that they have a safe space to talk to someone about that. So I think what is so important, and this is actually an initiative that we're working on called Operation Imago Day. And what we're looking at doing is not only discipling young women and young men in our center, in our facility, but actually making those extensions to the greater church bodies amongst Las Vegas and prayerfully in the future across the nation that will say, you know what? Let's have a ministry for women that might have this kind of need and make sure that they feel loved, they feel seen, they feel treasured because they are image bearers of Christ, and let them know that you are not alone in this circumstance. And I'm not going to shun you, but I'm going to support you right now. And I'm going to direct you to an organization or a ministry that can help you with where you're at. And so this, I think a lot of times when women feel alone, that is so huge for them. And they start making, decisions based out of their emotions or the lack of support that they have, like that young lady I mentioned, or maybe their lack of support with family or with their partner. So I think we as a whole have to look at this from a perspective of not only how we're operating in our church ministries to be supportive and make sure that young women and young men know that, and then also just in the greater community, in the marketplace, letting people know that there are alternatives. If you're not ready, alternatives either to think through this and have support to maybe carry out your pregnancy to term and become that mom and dad that God's actually purposed you to be, divinely assigning you, or considering blessing another family and placing your baby into an adoption scenario that baby can have purpose-driven life and be loved by a family that God has already been pruning and preparing for them.
And with today's news, it's a very hot topic and sensitive subject, and to spell the words, we all know what it is. Yeah. What does the organization that you work with, what's some of the tools and resources that you guys try to educate people with to kind of take away the heated, emotional conversation that's going on right now?
Well, we realized as a ministry in this community that we definitely had to have a response. And we spent some time with that because it also needed to be a cultivated response of love, right? The Lord says that if we don't have love with any message that we share, any action or deed that we carry out, it means nothing. So we spent some time working with one of our pastors that's a huge, passionate partner of our ministry here in Las Vegas. And he sat down to the table with our CEO and our leadership team, and we devised a plan to create a pro-life conference. So, and God is so good because, the overturn of Roe v. Wade happened June 24th, 2022. And we knew initially we had to have a response. We thought, let's build and make, a response to a conference maybe in 2023. He says, absolutely not. I think we're fully capable and God is with us. We can do this in 2022. And so with just a beautiful support, a lot of prayer warriors around us, we cultivated and we were able to promote our first conference, our Imago Day Pro-Life Conference. And what we did was we took each and every one of our leadership team members. And at that time, I was serving in the capacity as a volunteer manager. And I counted joy to have been equipped and called, to this role. So we were able to talk about things like my topic was the sanctity of human life, the science behind it all. We had topics like the sanctity of human life, biblical worldview. We had women talking about what their own personal encounters and experiences were being post-abortive and how they're able to yield to ministering to other women now, like being able to have support, like what we're able to do at Women's Resource Medical Centers, and how that makes such a difference for a pathway for a young woman. So I believe when you teach people about what the sanctity of human life truly is, and we don't define it, the Lord does, He tells us that we are His image bearers. He says to us that we are knitted and we're sewn together and that we're fearfully and that we're wonderfully made. And when we really take that apart, you realize that we actually don't have a say in who's a person and who's not a person. But one of the greatest topics I think that came forth was one of my sisters spoke about apologetics and what is our Christian response to this hot topic, as you said, and the abortion movement. And so I realized that in educating people, as difficult as it was to be able to share the bare bones of what really is happening in our world, then people were enlightened and they were able to take that knowledge back to their churches, back to their families, back to their friends, and have healthier dialogues about things that weren't as heated prayerfully. We all know that there's a political undertone to a lot of these different subject matters, but at the heart of it, what does God have to say about it? And that has to be a starting point.
We're talking to our guest, Shelena Trimble, and she's a patient services coordinator. And you go visit to the website, savealifeclub.com. You have events, your organization has events for people that are available, but you also have programs for those who are dealing with trauma and post-abortion healing needs.
Yes.
Can you share some information about that with our audience?
Well, certainly. So we definitely believe that anyone who has been impacted, especially directly, whether it's a woman or a man that is post-abortive in their own circumstance, we offer some amazing programs. So the one that addresses for women in their healing pathway is called HEART, which stands for Healing from Emotionally Abortion-Related Trauma. It's a 6-week course that is a faith-based curriculum that walks through. Now, their instructor is also someone who's post-abortive, and it just walks them through their time and space of where they were at the time that they interacted and had their abortion or their experience. And then it helps them navigate their healing process. It's very cathartic of a process. So we always encourage our participants to, certainly be very prayerful about approaching this experience. Yet when they finish, they walk away healed. They walk away shame-free. They walk away transformed by God. And we can't forget about the men because they are equally as impacted. And actually, a lot of times in the culture, the man might be shunned away from even having a part of the process. The young woman is told, my body, my choice. So she may just go ahead and make her decision, and he just learns about it after the fact. So we have a program very similar, faith-based curriculum, 6-week program called Forgotten Fathers. And it gives the gentleman an opportunity as well to walk down his healing path, to really unpack a lot of the things that he was going through in that season of his life. Whatever his mindset was, whatever his factors were, his hindrances, what took him to that decision. And walking it back and looking at, how do I heal from here? Right? Because a lot of times these men and these women are in marriages now, they're parents, they're grandparents, yet they still have some brokenness or some gaps in their hearts and in their spirits that do need healing to continue to move forward in their mission for God, leading their families, in Christ, and just being whole again.
Someone listening to this right now, what is the best way that they can be active with SaveALifeClub.com and a way that they can support y'all?
So many amazing ways to join up with us in partnership. So upcoming first on April 28th, April 28th, we will be holding our 38th annual Shareholders in Life Gala. So if you're in Las Vegas, we'd love to have you as our guest. And even if you decide you want to learn more about our mission, our ministry, I encourage you to fly down to Las Vegas and enjoy this event. Our keynote speaker is going to be Kevin Sorbo. He is known from Hercules. I personally look to him from his work with God's Not Dead series. He's got a well-versed acting portfolio and acumen, but he's going to be sharing from his own perspective about sanctity of life and what it means to be a part of the pro-life movement. I think this is a spectacular way to learn how to join up, whether if you're in the local mission field of Las Vegas or you're in your state. There are pregnancy resource centers that you can research across this nation. A great resource would probably be CareNet, which is who we're an affiliate of, and they They cover and are a network of pregnancy resource centers across the United States of America. Another great way to join up with us would be volunteerism. So we have folks that are part of our ministries throughout the city of Las Vegas. They come and they are volunteering as patient advocates, which have the huge role of being on the front lines of the ministry. And they are the ones that are interacting with our patients day to day for those pregnancy test appointments. And they are doing the data collection process. They're also completing an assessment of the patient, her circumstance, and her needs. They're sharing the gospel of Christ, and they're weaving it all together so that we can see how else we can partner with the patient. On the flip side, we have to minister to those young men. They have a huge influence over those young women. And so we have our amazing fatherhood mentors, and we're always in need of volunteers in that capacity. Other ways that you can join up, I mean, we have a ton of ways. You may want to be a monthly financial partner. You may want to be one of those folks that says, you know what, I don't live in Las Vegas. I may not feel I'm ready to be on the front lines yet, but I want to have a hand in this ministry and the amazing work they're accomplishing in the mission field of Las Vegas. You can just partner up and be a monthly donor, and your contributions go towards those free pregnancy tests. Your contributions go towards those spiritual counseling sessions. They go towards those medical confirmation ultrasounds that are being offered to our young men and young women, as well as our prenatal care program. So you can look to our website to find out those actual amounts. For example, $1,500 donation would match to cover a young lady's prenatal care. So I've wanted to make sure I don't forget to mention that every single service that I've talked about today that is offered to every patient that walks into us, of which we believe and pray is a divine encounter, everything is completely free to her. Everything is covered at cost by the ministry, by partnerships through folks like who are in our audience today.
You also, on the website, savealifeclub.com, you have a thing called a prayer wall.
Yes.
Kind of share with the audience, what is that?
Okay. So our prayer wall is a virtual capacity to be part of us. So I'll start with this. As a team at the center, every morning we dedicate the first 15 minutes of our workday to prayer. We come together as a team and we cover topics such as our patient schedule, praying for each and every one of those divine encounters that the Lord would have his way. He would will us on how he needs us to specifically minister to every patient, no matter what service they're coming in for. We also cover our donors. We cover our volunteer base. We cover all of our partnerships. We cover the city of Las Vegas. We cover our government. We cover just really the nation as a whole, you know what I mean? Because there's so many things like you talked about that are hot topics, and we get deterred from the work that God is doing sometimes. So we ask him for direction every single day. We cover our leadership team. And so what's cool about the prayer wall is that everyone is not a part of our physical team, but they're a part of our virtual team. And I'm a huge advocate for the Bible states that we are one body in Christ, but we are components of many parts. And so that would be those folks that say, you know what? I love what Women's Resource Medical Centers is doing. I want to join them in prayer. I want to intercede on behalf of those unborn babies. I want to intercede on behalf of those young women and those young men that are at a place where they have to come to a decision and they're unsure. So that prayer wall is a beautiful way that you can partner with us. You can post prayers specifically about what you're being led to pray for. You can also partner with us and lift up. You can share your own prayer requests, and we will cover those as well for you in prayer. And so it's just a beautiful way for the body of Christ to come together fervently and advocate on behalf of one another through the power of prayer.
Man, I was reading some of the posts, and I'm like, wow. A lot of stuff is very personal and very real too. Mm-hmm. When people are listening to this, moving forward, what is the plans for SaveLifeClub.com to continue this work for the community in Las Vegas?
Absolutely. So, we're in a space at year 38 that we're so excited that God has enlarged our territory. As I was sharing with you earlier, in 2018, we relocated to a beautiful space in the heart of the medical district here in Las Vegas. And we are currently sitting in an over 10,000 square foot suite that affords us to do all of what we've been doing up to now. And so where do we go from here? We realized that There are a lot of web-based programs that translate to electronic medical record programs. A lot of medical clinics are shifting to that way. And so God ordained to our leadership, our CEO, Esther, to develop our own custom software. So this is something that has been a project from, I want to say, 2021 to the present day. We are currently in phase 2, and we launched it October of 2022. And wow. So we know that meeting the needs of young people, you have to meet them where they're at. And most young people are tech savvy, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you can't ask them to fill out papers. Sometimes they're looking at you like, do you have an app for that? Do you have, a website for that? So we were able to address that by developing custom software that now affords the patient to visit the patient website, and they go from there and they're led to our online patient portal. Through the online patient portal, they establish an account, and then they're able to complete their first initial forms. And this allows for, even once they come to the facility, our patient advocates, all of our team members are able to review everything in real time from an electronic space. And then as they're going through their appointments, navigating whether it's the pregnancy test appointment or the ultrasound, for have you, we're able to then kind of work with each other from an electronic space and capture everything in real time. That has been, I believe, a real beautiful growth space for us, because it allows us to take what we're doing and not only be leading by model frame here in Las Vegas, but now across the nation, to where it's going to be, we can now take everything we're doing and share it with other resource centers. I had the pleasure of traveling to our CareNet conference last summer in August of 2022. And in meeting with so many different pregnancy resource team members across the country, a lot of them are using different tools and methodology to minister to the mission field where they are. What I found is that there are very few that are able to offer the prenatal care programming to take a young woman, no matter what stage of pregnancy she's in, and cover her care up and through the time of more or less delivery in the 3rd trimester, and partner with physicians in Las Vegas that will assist us to make sure she has a beautiful, healthy maternal fetal outcome. So the software is huge. We're also just looking at taking what we're doing as a model and allowing others to see what we're doing. We often offer tours. So that's another way, that great way, I forgot to mention that earlier, that people can learn about our missionary work, is come to our facility and take a tour and learn about us. But we're also allowing that to be our model to share with others, so that others can take what we're doing, the excellence that God has given us. He's expanded our territory to offer medical services and to make sure that these patients are not only being spiritually equipped, but they're being cared for. That's, and I guess I'd have to say that's the way of the future, being able to integrate technology and also wrap it with ministry, because that's how you're able to overstretch your reach, right? Than just from a local level.
You're listening to Refocused Radio, talking to our guest, Shelena Trimble, and she's Patient Services Coordinator. Go visit the website, savealifeclub.com. Again, that's savealifeclub.com. I want to say thanks to you, Shelena, for taking time talking to us today.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure to be here. Shemaya, I love you and your family, and I count it joy to have had the opportunity. I'm so grateful.